Hi, my name is Caitlin and I work at Up With Trees. Up With Trees was founded in 1976 by a man named Sid Patterson, and we've grown into a wonderful organization, and we have planted almost 33,000 trees in our lifetime, which is pretty good for a bustling city. So you can always make change, always pay attention to your surroundings and your city, and enjoy your green spaces. So we're going to dive right into what trees mean, what trees do, and have a little introduction today about that. So, how many famous trees do you know? Do you know this tree? That's Grandmother Willow, right? Do you know this tree? The Giving Tree. And I know that you know this tree. Groot, right? I know you know him. So there's lots of famous trees, lots of cool trees, and they're always awesome. What are some things that you can tell me about trees? What do we already know about trees? Grab a piece of paper and a crayon from your kit, or if you have one at home, whatever you prefer to use, and we're going to talk about some things about trees. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is parts of a tree. So I'm going to take my marker here and go along with you. So the first thing that I think about when I think about trees is something that we all know about, but we don't really see very often, is the roots of a tree. So the roots of a tree help the tree grow and thrive. It takes the nutrients, soil, water from the soil, and helps really establish a good anchor for the tree. What else? What other parts of a tree do we think about? Let's see. I think the next thing would be the trunk of the tree. Do you see that? The trunk of the tree? The trunk takes those nutrients from the roots and they travel up the trunk of the tree to deliver nutrients to the rest of the tree. That's why trees are so big and strong. That's why trunks are so big around, because the older that they get, the more nutrients that they need, the bigger that they get. What's the next thing that we can think about when we think about parts of a tree? What's the next thing? How about these big things at the top of the trunk that kind of stretch out, kind of like arms. They kind of stretch out when you get to the trunk, the top of the trunk of the tree. Branches, right? So branches are like tiny trunks at the top of the trunk of a tree. And they go out and they spread out like arms. They give the tree energy. They go out into the leaves. And that's how the leaves grow and thrive. So we just said what the next part of the tree is. Leaves, right? So we're going to draw our leaves. I'm just not going to draw them very in depth here, but you get the picture. Our leaves up here. And that is how the trees collect the sunlight, also the nutrients, the photosynthesis, and the entire system of the tree helps each other grow and thrive. So this entire top part, sometimes you'll hear it called the crown of the tree. And that's just all of the leaves and all of the branches. That entire thing is the crown of the tree. So those are the parts of the tree, our main parts anyway, of a tree. What about how trees eat? I mentioned nutrients. So, how do trees eat? We already talked about nutrients that the roots take from the soil, because there's lots of nutrients in the soil. But how else do trees eat? Maybe you've heard of this before. How else do they eat? It has to do with the leaves. And it's a big word that you may have heard before, and it's called photosynthesis. Can you say that? Photosynthesis. That is where the sun, we all know the sun helps plants grow, right? That phenomenon is called photosynthesis. So the leaves take in the nutrients from the sun, and they take those in, and it helps the entire tree, like we mentioned before. And it takes all of that in, as well as the nutrients coming up from the soil. We also need to make sure that we water trees very well, because when they're young, their roots aren't as deep. When they get older, their roots can go deeper into the earth and maybe find water there. But when trees are young, we need to make sure that they're watered and getting plenty of rain as well. So with photosynthesis, nutrients, and water, we can ensure that we have a healthy tree. The last thing that we're going to talk about is benefits of trees. So trees are amazing. That's why we plant them. What benefits do trees provide for us? So when they get big and strong, they provide a lot of shade, right? Shade is a huge thing that they provide, not just for humans. We can sit under them and read a book, but for houses as well. It cools down our houses. It allows us to not have to walk around in the sunshine all the time. And it just provides great shelter and great shade. Another benefit of trees, which you may have heard about before, is they clean the air. They take out those toxins in the air, something called carbon dioxide, and they give off oxygen, which is what we breathe. So they help us to breathe. They help us to clean our air and to have clean air surrounding us. Trees are amazing. And they also provide fruit, not just fruit for humans, but fruit for animals as well, right? I'm going to draw some purple fruit here. You can use whatever color you want, of course. There's all different kinds. And we'll see how they provide fruit for us. Lots of fruit, lots of food, and lots of nuts. For all different kinds of animals and for us. Speaking of animals, they provide shelter for animals, right? It's all, again, one ecosystem where animals can use it as shelter, and bugs can use it, good bugs and bad bugs. We'll talk about that later. But all different kinds of animals as shelter. We can also use it as building materials. Trees provide us with, we can use them to make paper, and all different kinds of things. Trees are just wonderful things.